The evening sun bled into the plains, spilling a heavy red light across the road that cut through miles of brittle grass. Each step sent a little puff of dust around her worn shoes. The scarf over her head barely hid the swelling along her cheekbone, the purplish bloom that would deepen by morning. She kept one hand pressed to her side as though holding herself together, the other gripping a cloth bundle of baby clothes, pinks faded to gray, little socks knotted together in pairs. Behind her, the quiet stretched wide enough to swallow sound. Somewhere far away, a dog barked, the echo bouncing against the empty fields. Her sister's house lay 5 miles behind, the place where she had left her 5 girls safe, or as safe as they could be in a world like this. Each face hovered in her mind, eyelids heavy with sleep, hair warm from the afternoon sun. The grumble of an engine approached from behind, low and steady, breaking the monotony of her footsteps. She didn't turn until it slowed beside her, an old truck the color of dried clay rolling to a crawl. The man inside wore a wide-brimmed hat that shadowed most of his face, but she could feel his eyes study her with a quiet patience. He leaned a little over the steering wheel, not yet speaking, just matching her pace as the dust swirled between them. He rested his forearm on the open window frame, the leather of his work glove creaking softly as he shifted his weight. "You're hurt," he said, his voice low enough that it almost blended into the hum of the idling engine. She kept walking, eyes fixed on the road ahead. "Not your concern." The man tilted his head, as though tasting the words before answering. "I'll make it mine." His tone wasn't sharp, just matter of fact, the way you'd mention the weather or a stray calf wandering too close to the fence. "I got space. Quiet space. I'll take you home." That word, home, caught in her chest like a burr. She almost laughed, but the sound came out brittle, a short huff of air. "Home's just another place to get thrown out of," she muttered, more to herself than to him. His gaze didn't flinch. "Maybe, or maybe it's just somewhere you don't have to walk away from." She slowed, her knees aching from the long stretch of road, the weight of the cloth bundle pulling at her arm. The scent of the truck drifted toward her, dust, sun-warmed metal, the faint tang of hay. It was not a smell she hated. Without another word, she pulled the door handle, climbed in, and settled into the cracked vinyl seat. The truck eased forward, and for the first time all day, she wasn't moving under her own worn-out strength. His land seemed to go on forever, a sweep of golden shadow broken only by the dark shapes of cattle moving slow in the distance. The truck rattled over the dirt drive until the ranch house rose up out of the horizon, plain and square, its white paint dulled by years of sun and wind. A windmill turned lazily beyond the barn, each creak of its blades carried on the dry evening air. He parked beside the porch and led her inside without ceremony. The air smelled faintly of old wood and stronger still of coffee gone cold. The floors groaned under their steps, but the place was clean in a way that spoke of habit rather than pride, counters wiped down, boots lined neatly by the door, a stack of feed store receipts pinned to the wall. He opened a door to a small room at the back of the house. The walls were plain white, and a hand-stitched quilt lay folded on the bed, the colors faded but careful. A single dresser stood against the wall, its top empty, waiting for something, or someone. She set her cloth bundle on the quilt, the baby clothes making a small, almost apologetic mound in the quiet. At dinner, they sat across from each other at a table that looked too large for two. He had cooked beans and cornbread, the kind of food that didn't demand conversation. They ate without looking at each other much, the sound of their forks clinking in the silence. She noticed the way his hands moved, slow, deliberate, as though each gesture had been practiced alone for years. He didn't ask questions, he didn't tell her anything about himself. But he didn't look away from her, either. They stepped out onto the porch after the plates had been washed and set to dry, the screen door creaking shut behind them. The night air was cooler than she expected, carrying with it the scent of mesquite and the faint tang of rain from somewhere far off. Crickets sang in the grass, their steady chorus filling the gaps where conversation might have gone. She leaned against the railing, arms folded, staring out at the sweep of dark land. The stars here seemed closer, sharper, as if someone had thrown a handful of salt against a black tablecloth. She could feel his presence a few steps away, the weight of it solid but not pressing. "I'm not here to be anyone's wife or pity," she said finally, her voice carrying further into the open night than she meant it to. He didn't move closer. "I'm not here to be anyone's savior," he answered. His voice was steady, almost calm, but there was something under it, a roughness, like wood that had weathered many storms. "Just thought maybe, a home's not a place you earn. It's a place someone gives." She studied him out of the corner of her eye. In the dim light, the lines on his face seemed deeper, the hat shadowing his eyes. He didn't look at her when he spoke, he was looking out at the land, as though speaking to the horizon. A wind stirred, brushing strands of hair across her face. She didn't brush them away. For the first time in years, she felt the possibility, faint but real, that tomorrow might come without the heaviness she'd learned to expect. The crickets kept singing. Somewhere in the barn, a horse shifted in its stall, the sound muffled but steady, as though the night itself were settling in around them.